Hey everyone, thanks for joining. This is CryptoVatsik. Nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice, and they're just my opinions. If you do enjoy this content, I would really appreciate it if you supported the channel by giving this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for future updates. Let's get right into it. Okay, today I'm going to be covering RSR reserve rights. So first off, on the high time frame, we're going to mark out those key levels. The first one being right here. And we've got some confluence with this area as resistance back here, and then finding it as support before all-time highs, coming all the way back down, finding it again as support here, briefly as support, deviate, quite a large deviation above it here, but that's definitely a key area first off. And then our next area being right back here, and you'll notice, a little bit harder to see, but you'll notice that we had this area, okay, as briefly as support here, okay. We did lose it briefly over here. A bit of a bounce there, okay, so a little bit of respect there, but then you'll notice once we come over, it's definitely acting as that macro resistance right here. Candle close above, even back here at that swing high, candle closes, or sorry, wicks up to it, that right there, and then basically this level back in October as well, most recently. So you'll notice now that we start to look at what we're currently seeing with this price action is with our current range that we're trading in from our swing high, okay, down to our swing low. Lots of interaction near the top and around the equilibrium, and with less interaction down near the low, okay? So this is really only the second time here that we're chopping around near the low, but the first area being the, the establishment of this range with our swing low to the swing high, okay? So it really tried to hold this level for quite some time as our bottom or as our support, okay, until we really breached that with the deviation down here coming into this liquidity, and you can see what happened after. I think this area, this pump right here, was a bit to do with the mainnet launch that they had at the time, but ultimately we lost that level of support here, but we had basically this market structure break here that I was seeing as well. Okay, so from this area right here, we had a clean market structure break to the upside, these lower highs, we had a higher high, and then we had a bullish retest of that market structure break, and you'll notice that it actually just came right back down and retested that market structure break right there again a little bit later. It's a retest of that level. This is the retest of the market structure break, but given the time span of all of this price action in between, this is just a retest of that level. It's not considered part of that market structure break. This was basically the full move of that market structure break, in my opinion, until we just continued to chop. Okay, so now that we've lost that level though right here, we're going to mark it out. This guy right here from that low, okay, we'll make it dotted. So we've lost that level, so that's something I'm closely watching at the moment. From a high time frame swing trade, the way I would trade this, right, is basically I would be looking to get in on a sweep of this low, down here, okay, so we're currently coming back down to that level, confluence with the bottom band of our overall range here. So if we can get in closer to that low and get some sort of market structure break like this, then I'd be looking for longs on a lower time frame. Keep in mind we're on the daily right now. And then ultimately, I would like to take out these highs here, and I'd be targeting ultimately that level that we lost, that key SR level that we had for some time back here. I'd be targeting that, and then I'd be targeting the EQ of this overall macro trend, the swing of this, macro range, and a sweep of this previous high, the liquidity sitting up there. And if things really looked good, then we could start talking about this high up here and a sweep of the upper band of the overall range, but there's lots to be done first before we get into that. So what I want to see is certain criteria for this trade to come to fruition and for me to enter. And so I'll show you that on the 4-hour right now. So this is just still just a ranging asset, right? So we've got another range on the 4-hour here that we're still just playing within, from the swing high down to the swing low. Meanwhile, this I'm calling a deviation. So there's a few criteria that I'd be looking for here, okay? And so basically the first criteria is I want to see this bottom band hold, okay? But it's fine if it doesn't, because if price just continues to trade like this and just continues to deviate below and loses that area, that's fine. I'll just let it continue to drop. So the first point of criteria that I would want to enter along would be getting a market structure break, right, to the upside, and then a retest right here of that market structure break of this lower high here, making a higher high here, okay? And so that's the first thing I would look for, and then all the while basically sweeping this low and essentially holding this bottom band of this 4-hour range that we've got here. So I'd be looking for that. That would be my entry, and then your stop loss, basically your risk being below your entry down to the low here, and your stop loss being below that low. If price just continues to deviate below this bottom band of the range here that we've got, and it just continues to drop and have this bearish consolidation, then that's fine. And then maybe I'm waiting for my criteria somewhere down here. Okay, and then maybe there's your market structure break, there's your entry, there's your stop, and then you're targeting, the bottom band of this range now as resistance kind of thing. So the trade changes, right, as price moves. So that's why you got to stick to those criteria. So first criteria for me to enter a long would be a market structure break that I just showed you. Now the second criteria would be a sweep of this market structure break, basically a sweep of this low, but there's a market structure break in here that we got, and you'll notice, right? So we had our low, higher low, lower high, and then higher high up here, okay? This was ultimately our first higher high. We had a small retest right there. So that's a market structure break that we could be coming back down to test that area right there, okay? So that's kind of my second criteria, so we'll add that. And then my third area of criteria would basically be a tap of this bottom band, this range, the bottom band, confluence with this low back here as support, okay? And so it's fine if we deviate below briefly. If we can reclaim the level quickly again with that market structure break and then a retest, then I will accept that and I will enter on a retest of that level that we reclaimed again with this just being a deviation. Okay, so that's my third criteria. Now, the more criteria you can find, the better, right? And so I'd also be looking at relative strength index, and I'd be looking for a higher low, a bullish divergence, similar to what we got back here. So let's go and look at what we saw back here, right? So basically we had, let me just clean it up. We had a low, a lower low, and technically a lower low here, okay? So following this trend right here, 3 equal pushes down. And then we held this level in RSI with a higher low in RSI right here, okay? So you could technically draw a line from the bottom low right here to this higher low. Meanwhile, we made a low and then a lower low, okay? So that's a classic bullish divergence. So that'd be something that I'm also looking for here. If we got something like this, right? So if we got a low and maybe that formed our low here, and then it started coming up, and then we got a lower low in price here, okay? If you can see that like that, and we made a higher low in RSI. So something like this would be a bullish divergence and another area of confluence for me to take this trade. Okay, so we got our fourth criteria for this trade. That first criteria needs to happen first for me to really start to consider the next 2 to 3 to 4 criterias, okay? So we need that market structure break because again, if price just continues to do this and it's just making this overall downward trend of lower highs, right? It could just continue to come down, right? So there's nothing for me here if price did something like this to start to enter this trade or start to consider the next areas of criteria because we haven't gotten the first market structure break yet. Targets for this, if we do come down and we get my first area of criteria with a market structure break, okay, we reclaim the level, say all goes to plan, I'd be targeting first this high, which is basically the equilibrium of this range, okay, possibly this high, which would be a quarter, basically a range, if you can see that, right? Essentially a quarter range here and a quarter range here, so confluence with this high. So I'd basically be saying, target 1, the equilibrium here, maybe target 2, the quarter range here, and then ultimately target 3, a little bit left, on the table still in that trade with this high, anticipating a tap at the top range here. This would be a decent swing trade, okay, to the first target, 13%, second target, 20% up to 26 kind of area. So that's a short-term temporary trade. We might not push that high, right? It could easily just come to this level here. And, if it starts to fail and we really test this high and we get a swing failure pattern, something like that, right? Where it's kind of like 2 equal highs and then, losing this low, market structure break, then I might just dump everything on this bearish retest, right? Might dump the whole trade. So you really got to play it as you see fit. And then I wouldn't be looking really to short in this area, honestly, because I think downside risk is more limited at these prices, whereas the upside is increasing. The opportunity to the upside is increasing. So I'm primarily looking for longs down in these areas. But if you were looking to short, this is kind of a similar setup that I'd be looking for a short if you're interested in that. And then moving back to the daily here, on a really high time frame area, if we start to get these swing trades like this, again, then I'm starting to look further up on a high time frame. Again, this previous low back here, which is above this 4-hour channel that we had just marked up, okay? And then also a bit of inefficiency right here with price, okay, from this low on this big FTX collapse, right? So then, then you start looking, if we can break out of this overall channel, then you start looking at those high time frame levels to start targeting up higher that I covered earlier, like I said. But don't forget, if price just continues to not meet that first criteria and any of these other criteria, and we just continue to chop down, then I will not take the trade, and I won't be looking for shorts down here, because if we lose this level, then, we're kind of making new lows in comparison to this low, right? So just stay frosty, stay careful, use your stop losses, use your risk management. And hopefully this video helped you with your trading and helped you see how I see RSR. And I really appreciate the engagement. I really appreciate you guys joining today. And please do give the video a like if you enjoyed this. And subscribe to the channel. I'll post lots as much as I can throughout the bear market and into the next bull cycle. So thanks again, and we will see you on the next one. You can always follow me on CryptoVatsik on Twitter as well. Thanks again so much for joining, you guys. We'll see you later. Bye.